Hey there. I was just putting my latest I should say, into my journal regarding finances. And in this video, I wanted to discuss my journey with finances, and unlike my previous video with fitness, my finances, I was a little more diligent making notes throughout. Finances for me has been a problem for quite a few years. Back when I was in Edmonton before I went to Wainwright, and then back to Edmonton with work, I made a lot of mistakes. I bought a house that I shouldn't have bought, got a new car that I shouldn't have gotten, and with that being said, I'd like to do more reading for my journal so you guys can kind of come along with the journey that I took to get where I am today. Some of the things that helped me along the way have been Dave Ramsey and their podcast, the company, the gentleman. I've also read the book, Total Money Makeover. Highly recommend. That's going to influence a lot of my financial discussions and advice. Again, it's not financial advice in terms of an expert, but just the things I've done in order to solve my problems. So I'll go ahead and get to my portion on finances. It's right here. I'm so close to being debt-free. I need to stem the tide of money going out. It's almost as if I am justifying today's purchases with future funds. I'm going to be left in a bad place when I get to Edmonton. So this is back when I was in Wainwright. Here are a few things I will accept. So I'm basically justifying my purchases. I just picked up a vehicle that I paid cash for. New tires. For better long-term viability of the vehicle, ordered and coming in. Paint fix, considering the late stage rust of the Xterra, fixing the Crosstrek before it can get worse will maintain its value. Only book the paint fix after the Xterra sells, hopefully to some individuals I had written down. And another note I put is I'd like to have $6,000 in the bank to prep for my move to Edmonton. So with this is basically discussing in this part of my life when I had gotten into the financial mindset of solving my debt problem. One of the things from Dave's book talks about how loggers, when they used to have a jam of logs at a bend, they would throw dynamite into the pile of logs, which would sacrifice some of the logs. However, the remainder would be able to flow as it disrupted the blockage. So one of the things I did was I sold my 2015 Ford Fusion that I had at the time for about $14,000. And that was a huge start to getting myself out of debt. And I picked up a beater Xterra, I think it was 2004 Xterra, for $3,000. And I rode around with that for about basically a year. And that's kind of what this is touching on. And then moving on to the next note. Looks like I am selling the Xterra for $3,000. I'd like to consider my debt and project what I expect to have done by my posting date, August 28th. So now I'm going to basically discuss a future planning of what this all looks like. I owe $29,998 on my credit line. I owe $773.75 on my full phone bill. And I've bought tires for $1,260. What I know is I have approximately $20,000 coming from a claim and approximately $8,000 coming from back pay. So in essence, I owe approximately $32,031.75. I'll be receiving approximately $31,000 between now and July 15th. So let's see where I'll be August 15th. Today owing $32,031.75. Friday, receive $1,000. Friday, pay off tires. And then I basically break down the value of what I'm paying off. Payday is Monday. I'll have $1,235 extra. $482 will go to emergency fund. So I'll have $753 left. Really breaking things down. I'll put aside that $753 and wait to make a payment on the credit line, not considering what I'll get from tree cutting. This was also a time when I started working as an arborist with Ryan that I alluded to in the fitness video. June 1st, credit line. So basically now I'm breaking it down by paydays. from June 15th to September 1st. And that's what this looks like. Credit line on June 15th will be $30,771.75. My savings, I'll have 1908 plus 1235, so I'll have about 3,143. In July 1st, credit line again will be 30,771.75 because I'm not paying a credit line just yet. And then my savings steadily increases between June 15th and July 15th, while my credit line remains the same. August 1st, credit line will be 0. August 15th, credit line will be shut down and my savings will be increasing. And by September 1st, I'm projecting that the savings will be approximately $10,000. In Edmonton, bodywork complete, phone paid off, and phone fixed. While the previous page was wonderful to consider, the math will change this week due to vehicle problems. I am hopeful the issues can be resolved with the cash I'll have on hand. So, a big part of planning ahead is ensuring you plan for mistakes, which is why I had an emergency fund. Alright, like another note I added in the journal, and this is pretty interesting compared to what I was saying before. The initial plan was flawed as I did not account for the assistance required. It's currently August 15th and I owe $6,000 on the credit line. I am incredibly close but running out of steam. It's very difficult to maintain this kind of intensity. As you can see, between July 1st and August 15th, I paid approximately, what did I have on there? I had $30,000 on the credit line and I was down to $6,000. With my current pay, I can put approximately $1,500 a month towards it, which would take 4 more months to pay off my credit line. I also have an allowance, which I can use to put towards that as well. If I receive that on the 15th of September, then my timeline will only have extended 1 month. Not the worst situation to be in. So even though I projected where I wanted to be, and kept my eye on the prize, so I aimed at finances. You can tell that throughout all this, I'm more or less in line with the timeline I set out for myself, barring anything that kind of comes in a way. I also have some amounts from other claims I'm waiting on, which will approximately amount to $1,600. Next step is to build my 3 to 6 emergency fund. This is, so for between the last one and this one, I moved from Wainwright to Edmonton. So the next step is to build my 3 to 6 month emergency fund. I need to sort my expenses now that I'm living in Edmonton. So this was basically just going over all my new expenses with the place I'm living in and how everything's kind of panning out. So for the place I'm currently living in, rent, $1,895, phone and internet, approximately $270. My EPCOR projected price, $350. It's been about $270, so pretty good there. Groceries, $800. Gas, $300. So those are all not the actual numbers, just what I budgeted for. And this is me determining my 3-month, 6-month emergency fund. So for 3 months, this amounts to $10,845. That's what I want to have in the bank. For 6 months, I would double that, so $21,690 in the bank would account for 6 months of expenses. And then I kind of hit a happy medium and said I'm going to set my goal for $15,000. Now, I have seen my pay stub. When all the money has been moved, I will have my $1,000 emergency fund established. So that's the number one thing that Dave Ramsey would say is baby step 1, and that's to get a $1,000 emergency fund put aside right away for anything that comes up. So now I'm doing a little more projecting for the rest of the year. There are currently 3 months left in the year and 7 pay periods. I would like to have $5,000 put aside before Christmas. With $1,000 in the bank, this means I need to put aside $5,701 per pay until then. Now that CPP is done for the year, my pay has climbed dramatically, such that if I am diligent, I can achieve my financial goals. So really just hammering down that, I'm on track and I will achieve my goals. At this point, I wasn't really good at dating these, so this was around November. I have $2,000 saved and I'd like $5,000 by January. There's the break. Here is the breakdown if I only save. November 1st, $950. 15th, $950. December 1st, $950. And December 15th, $950. That's approximately $3,800. So by December 15th, I would have $5,800, exceeding my goal. Moving into the new year, I kind of looked at a bunch of things that I needed to buy for vehicles as well as the house. So things I need to buy: blinds for the house, I wrote that down as a need. Winter tires, I wrote that down as a need. And a bicycle for getting around, I wrote that down as a want. And then I kind of sat down and wrote out things I could sell, because that's a big thing once you're getting on this kind of path, is look at the things you own, and if you don't need them, get rid of them. So I had a Frosthaven board game, sold that. I had a bunch of Warhammer figures and stuff. I sold most of that, made way more than I thought I would. I sold a bag. I had an extra day bag that I sold. And at this point in time, again, it's not dated, so it's not the best, but I currently have $3,151 in savings. So this was pretty interesting. I found winter tires for $800, so that would reduce my savings to $2,350. This brings me anxiety to spend, but it is a need. November 1st, I would be putting $964 into the account, bringing it to $3,314. November 15th, I'll be adding $420, bringing it to $3,734. December 1st, I'll add $964, bringing it to $4,698. December 15th, I'll add $971, which brings it to $5,669. I'll still achieve my goal and exceed it by $500. Or $600, just ballparking. Big important thing about that passage is I had anxiety spending this money, even though I was diligent enough to save it. Right at this point, my debt is all paid off, and I have an emergency fund, and I've got savings for all this stuff. And I still felt anxiety because I've worked so hard to pay off the debt that it sucks to go and try and spend some of that money. So I wrote it down, and I made sure that I was going to be okay. And I knew that in my head, but I had to write it down and then read it out to myself to kind of understand that it's fine, you're fine. It is December 3rd, so finally I put a date in here, and I've achieved my savings goal. So remember how I wanted it by January 1st? And then I did the math, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll have it by December 15th. And then right here, it is December 3rd, and I've achieved my savings goal. I have $5,000 in savings, and I've opened up another account for shorter term savings. I intend to bulk this out to $8,000 by selling items I no longer need. With my emergency fund sorted, my intent is to focus on getting my bedroom to a place of comfort. Again, goal setting, right? I've achieved the emergency fund. Now I can start spending the money. And one of the things I picked up from one of Jordan Peterson's books is pick one room in your house and make it beautiful. So I wanted that to be the bedroom because that's a place I spend a lot of time sleeping, and I'd rather it be comfortable to navigate, have all my clothes laid out properly, have the things I need to ensure my clothes stay clean. My intent is to focus on getting my bedroom to a place of comfort. I want a new bed frame, side tables, a dresser, new sheets, and pillow set. Alright, so 19 December 2023. I've gone ahead and sorted my finance and moved them over to Wealthsimple. That can have a whole other video on its own. I've got $5,000 in the cash account to generate a better interest rate. I've also opened an additional 3 TFSA accounts for mutual funds. My intent is to add $1,000 a month, split between the 4 accounts I have. So, huge step here. Huge. My debt's paid off, my emergency fund is settled. Now I'm starting to invest and actually build wealth. Casting my eyes to the future, I see myself contributing $12,000 from just my income. This is over the year of 2024. I do have lofty goals for setting up my living area, so I will need to produce additional income. Right, so that's kind of throwing out the ideas that I'm going to pick up extra work or perhaps do more photography or even what I'm doing now, building up a channel. With that being said, I'm attempting to grieve one of my claims to get an additional amount of money. My intent is to put $10,000 into investments and utilize the other $10,000 to handle room purchases. So that rounds out 2023 from my journal. huge things have occurred in 2023. I paid off $30,000 worth of debt in just that year. And how did I do it? Like I said, I worked as an arborist. That was a big one. And what ended up happening with that was Ryan, who I alluded to before in the the fitness video, posted, it was a Tuesday, I believe. It's always a Tuesday when you look back. And what ended up happening, he was looking for an assistant, somebody to come down and just do some manual labor. And I wasn't working that day, so I sent him a message and said, hey, I'll give it a shot. And I showed up, and I remember it was really funny because all I was doing was moving logs, moving rope. And he offered $18 an hour. And I remember saying to him at the end of the day, it was because I was getting into finances and everything, and kind of like saying, not justifying my worth, but understanding my worth when it comes to this work. So I said to him at the end of the first day, look, I understand that you're put out $18 an hour on the ad, but I think I brought a little more value. And he stopped me. He's like, don't worry, I was already planning on paying you $20 an hour. So that was a great first experience. And over that time, I worked with him just being a ground laborer until I was a full-on arborist climber with my own gear. And it was one of the best experiences I've had over the summer. And Ryan and I became good friends as we navigated this crazy world of tree cutting. And we did a lot of fun, sketchy things, but we always came out at the other side. Also, during that time, I was selling candles. So this is one of them, bourbon and sandalwood. I was selling candles in Wainwright at farmers markets on Fridays and Saturdays, or whenever I could kind of get around to it. And so that helped out a lot, and it actually expanded quite a bit. I had, I think, 120 candles by the end of it in 5 products. So I had candles, I had soaps, I had body butter, body scrubs, and chapstick. Yeah, I still have a host of chapsticks downstairs. Now, let's move on to 2024. I get this is going to be like a long talking video, but I kind of want to get everybody up to date on where I'm at with finances. Where is it? Oh, that's YouTube. Here we go. So this is kind of taking off from So this is kind of taking off just in January. This is January 29th. This year has started out very well in terms of finances, although having spent $1,495 among various ventures, I'll have $5,000 in my emergency fund and $1,220 invested. My current goal is to get that to $8,000 in my emergency fund. To achieve this, the following will occur. So a huge change in language from this book to this book. Wishy-washy language to saying what's going to happen. February, $5,000. March, $6,250. April 1st, $7,500. And May, $8,000. This is because I will be out of town from March to April with work, so I will have plenty saved. Once I have my additional benefit, I will bring it up to $10,000 and invest $8,000. Now, between that time and that time, I was away from work for many months, and what I have here is the next one, which is 17 March 24, so I'm home now. Currently sitting at $5,138. I see myself going no lower than $5,000. April 1st, I will be adding $2,000, bringing me up to $7,000. Now, I'm not entirely sure what happened in between. I think I made a lot of purchases for some side hustles that I was kind of working on. And then 9 June 24. Finances are looking pretty good. I have $8,858 in the bank. This is spread out between investments and cash. So in my emergency fund, $4,500. So it kind of came down between March and June. TFSA, I've got $3,588, and my RSP has $202. I wrote down a couple debts from things I've lent out. So I lent out approximately $5,940 in that time, helping some people out. So With that being said, I want my emergency fund to contain $10,000, so I'll put in $440 to investments. This is basically of some money I had kicking around. I'm currently investing $800 per month. So big change from my goal setting was I wanted to put $1,000 per month, but I ended up putting $800 per month. And the reason for that is I have $800 going into automatic investments, and then $200 I manually put into dividend stocks. I'm currently investing $800 per month towards investments. My goal is to put $12K into investments by January 1st. And then I see what I have currently. So I'll need to, alright, so currently I had, as of June 9th, I had $3,790. And then auto deposits by January 1st will amount to $5,200 if I don't change anything. So I'll have $8,990 invested plus the $440 equals $9,430. So I will need to contribute $2,570 of my own money to reach that goal. And then I kind of calculated how much I'll make between now and January 1st. I'll make approximately $7,650 of, this is disposable income, between now and January 1st. If I put away $2,570 towards investments to reach my goal, I will have approximately $5,080 left for other goals. Then I went on to say that I've gone ahead and moved $2,570 from my emergency fund in order to get the money into the market early. Now I just need to let the auto payments sort out the rest. So based on the previous statement, if I do nothing from now until January 1st, I will achieve that $12,000 goal invested because I've gone ahead and moved money over from my emergency fund. It's not something I would recommend doing. I should just kind of leave it there for emergencies, but I've got a lot coming down the line in terms of claims, so it should be pretty fine, especially with the job security I have. I've gone ahead and booked my vehicle for its next maintenance. This will cost $1,400 approximately of my $5,080. That will leave me with $3,680 that I will be able to spend on various activities throughout the remainder of the year. So I was basically projecting that I'm going to do this maintenance on my vehicle and of the money I had left, see what I had for the rest of the year. Now, 1 July 24, today, that last entry I was writing this morning, I ended up canceling the appointment as I did a lot of the simple updates myself, swapped out air filters, changed fluids, etc. With that being said, my car has been acting up and throwing a code related to the catalytic converter. I will be bringing the vehicle in tomorrow to have the problem diagnosed. I'll use the money from my emergency fund to sort out any problems. Right. So, between last year and this year, huge steps, completely out of debt. I've got investments and I've got an emergency fund. Even though the emergency fund is being utilized for vehicle payments and stuff like that, just the difference between last year and this year, you could see it in the writing. I was tired, exhausted, running out of steam. And now this year, I'm relaxed, calm. I basically, at this time, want for nothing. I still have a lot of projects that I'd like to commit funds to, but I'm less in a rush. So I hope that brings you some insight, brings you up to speed before I start into learning more finances, so you kind of see where I was, where I'm at, and then things I'm interested in learning. But if anything in that video brought value to you, perhaps as you're along your own journey, or you're in the middle of it, and this is an end of the road, light at the end of the tunnel sort of story. Anything brought you value, like and subscribe. Throw your questions and comments into the comment section and share the video for anyone else that you know might be going through the same thing. And I'll catch you in the next one.